All right, guys, welcome back to the Brave podcast. We're going to do another one of these monologue type of videos, I suppose. Did one for you guys a few days ago. You seem to really like it. And yeah, it's kind of a new structure. Unfortunately, Moshi can't be with us every single evening, and sometimes I end up starting late. For example, tonight it is 9:30 p.m. already. And this weekend was one of the craziest weekends probably in history, probably in my lifetime, where a former president of the United States was almost assassinated. Basically, if you've been living under a rock, there was a rally that was happening in Butler, Pennsylvania, just about maybe 50 miles north of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's actually a place that I believe I've been to before. Not often, because there's not really too much there, but I've definitely driven past it or through it or whatever. Completely irrelevant, but yeah, basically what had happened was there was an active shooter situation at the event where a guy, 20 years old, apparently tried to shoot directly at the former president of the United States. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, this was a very crazy situation. To be honest with you, I kind of saw it coming many years ago. Because in private conversation, I'll just be really candid with you, I have heard a few people, mention, oh, Donald Trump, he's a really bad man. I'll be straightforward with you. I was kind of, lost in all of the conversations years ago. And I mean, the media told us he was a really, really bad dude. And it took a little bit of time, but eventually I started doing some research, started talking to other people, and realized that a lot of the things that they were saying were not actually true. Same still goes to this day. There's a lot of people who have not really, broken the mold of, investing so much time and energy listening to, large media companies like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, all those guys. They're all complicit. They all lie and make up stuff. But yeah, this weekend was kind of crazy. I was just chilling out with my dad. We had a couple racks of ribs, barbecued some shrimp, and a whole bunch of other stuff. We're just sitting there having a drink, chilling out, when all of a sudden I get a text message from my friend Mike. And he goes, turn on the news. And then he sent me several other ones with a bunch of exclamation points. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I called him because we were outside and I didn't feel like going inside to turn on the news. So he's like, bro, Trump got shot. And me and my dad I had it on speakerphone. So me and my dad were both like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, you got to turn on the news right now. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, he got shot in the ear. I'm like, okay, well, who gets shot in the ear? But as it turned out, essentially what was happening, if you haven't seen the video, he was speaking and he looked at or they pulled up some sort of chart or something, and he turned his head. And at that exact moment, a bullet whizzed right through the upper part of his ear. It was essentially aimed at the back of his skull. Missed him. Now, I don't know if that bullet is the one. I kind of need to clarify this, but I don't know if that was the bullet that struck somebody else in the crowd. I don't think it was, but I could be wrong completely. But there was a fatality. There was a man in the crowd who was a firefighter, and we'll get into that too as well, who unfortunately took a bullet and was fatally shot. I believe his daughters were in the crowd, and yeah, it's pretty sad news. There's several things I wanted to kind of talk about, though. There's a lot of the conspiracy theories kind of, going around right now. The left, several people are claiming that it was staged. I don't know how that would have been possible, because if you're aiming for someone's ear to try and stage something, I don't know if that's what a lot of people are trying to claim. But yeah, that's what I guess some people are claiming. The other thing is something to do with a blood packet, and I've seen some memes already with a Heinz ketchup packet in the back of his suit, and I'm just like, nah, bro. I don't think that's the case at all. Sorry, lefties, but I think you're completely wrong. I know Hassan Piker right away was like, oh, he's clipping it for news or whatever. They staged it, and I'm like, I don't think that's the case right now, but there's still a lot of news coming out about it, so I don't really know everything. I just saw a lot of stuff online so far. There's some very, very questionable things, questionable incidences kind of surrounding what happened around the major part of the incident. For example, the response time of the law enforcement agencies that were there, including the Secret Service, the amount of time it actually took them to return fire, or not even maybe return fire, but actually react to the fact that there was a shooter on top of a roof, maybe just over 100 yards away, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I'm going to go through and kind of look at what I've been seeing. The other thing is the rhetoric surrounding just general politics. So on both sides right now, everybody's kind of calling for calm. And I know it's hard to do because for approximately 8 years now, things have been boiling and boiling and boiling. And now we've kind of reached that point where there are literal bullets flying. Who could have seen that coming, right? I mean, I could have told you a long time ago. Apparently Tucker Carlson even called it not so long ago in a video, where we've come to the point where we are now on the verge of political assassination. It's not the first time in history, definitely not the first time in American history. We have, JFK was assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, as far as we know. But we also know Bobby Kennedy was assassinated. And the craziest part is RFK Jr., I'm recently finding out about this, that he does not, up until this day, have Secret Service, kind of protecting him. And it's kind of crazy because, the dude's father and uncle were both assassinated. And how does this guy who is currently running for president of the United States of America as an independent not have Secret Service? It doesn't really make sense. And I do know that recently Donald Trump wrote a post on Truth Social, I believe, talking about that exact same thing. And I do think that RFK Jr., Robert F. Kennedy Jr., now has Secret Service detail, which is good to hear. But let's take a look at all the crazy shit that's been going on Twitter about this entire incident, because it's nuts. Like, there's more and more details slowly coming out about the entire incident. I'm learning just as fast as everybody else is learning. There's always new information coming out. And even today, Trump was finally nominated as the guy who's going to run for president. So that's good to know. And he also picked his VP, which is J.D. Vance, senator from Ohio. And in my opinion, I think it was a pretty good pick, I suppose. But yeah, so this is the video of it happening. And there was kind of a crazy moment after let's play it back from the beginning, because this is just crazy. I've probably seen this about a billion times. Oh, this is the aftermath. So after he was shot in the ear, he went down, got back up, Secret Service surrounding him to protect him, and he's sticking his arm out, yelling out, "Fight, fight, fight." We know the left already, right away, they were already trying to use it against him, because, you can't express yourself or use freedom of expression and tell people to figuratively fight, because that is somehow incitement of violence. But yeah, so we had Elon Musk, who said he fully endorses President Trump now and hopes for his rapid recovery. So that's good. And so far, we know everything is good. Trump is going to be basically back to, I don't even know what's going to happen. Is he going to continue rallying? These public open venue rallies? Is that, I don't even know. Nobody's really been saying much about that. What's the next step? Are they going to step up their security? Because based on what you guys are going to see, or at least what I've been seeing, it looks like there may have been a possible muck-up in this entire situation. It's just nuts, but we'll get into it in a second. So here's one of the guys, and this is kind of where all the questions started. So this gentleman was at the rally. He was very close to where the shooter was on top of the building, and hopefully you guys can see this on the screen properly, but yeah.
To the rally, right? We couldn't see him, but we could hear him. So we walked up, and probably 5 to 7 minutes of Trump speaking, I'm estimating here, I have no idea, but we noticed a guy crawling, bear crawling up the roof of the building beside us, 50 feet away from us. So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
I love his hair, by the way. It's so Limp Bizkit.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, "Hey, man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle." And the police were like, "Huh, what?" Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, "Hey, right here on the roof. We can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling." And next thing you know, I'm thinking to myself, why is Trump still speaking Why have they not pulled him off the stage? I'm standing there pointing at him for, 2-3 minutes. Secret Service is looking at us from the top of the barn. I'm pointing at that roof, just standing there like this. And next thing you know, 5 shots ring out.
So you're certain that the shots came from that guy on the roof?
100%.
5 shots.
100%.
And he was up there for a couple of minutes.
He was up there.
You saw him up there for a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. At least 3 to 4 minutes.
And you were telling the police and the Secret Service?
We were telling the police. We were pointing at him for the Secret Service, who were looking at us from the top of the barn. They were looking at us the whole time when we were standing by that tree.
Could they see
binoculars?
Could they see him?
Probably not, because the roof, the way the slope went, he was behind where they could see. But why is there not Secret Service on all of these roofs here? I mean, this is not a big place.
Did you see, I mean, obviously everyone, when the shooting started, everyone was very panicked. Did you see what happened to him at all?
Oh, yeah, they blew his head off.
Okay, sorry.
Secret Service blew his head off.
Okay, just be careful because we don't quite know who's watching, but you're pretty sure they shot the guy?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Yep.
You saw that happen?
Yep.
Okay.
Damn.
Yep.
And did you see them go up to him afterwards, or?
They crawled up on the roof. They had their guns pointed at him, make sure he was dead. He was dead, and that was it. It was over.
So that's kind of interesting because there's going to be another piece of information that I learned today that corroborates exactly what this gentleman is saying. And this was literally moments after this had happened. So he's saying it took almost 2 to 3 minutes for the Secret Service to essentially react, or law enforcement, whoever was looking or took the shot against the active shooter. So why did it take that long? There was obviously officers on the ground, and it's just like, did they just react too slowly? And that kind of leads us into, was it an inside job? And there are a lot of people who are suggesting it, and I'm not going to say for sure, but I do have a lot of questions, obviously, because based on previous incidences over American history, JFK, we do know that it is plausible that governments like, 3-letter word agencies, do end up doing these sorts of things, we'll say. So it's fascinating to me that, and here's another thing, like look at look at where the trajectory of where this shot would have come from. Let me open this up a little bit more. But so just the positioning of where the stage was. Our internet sucks here, unfortunately. But so we have Trump here in the blue pin, and then there was another building here. Now, what's funny is a lot of people have suggested that there is a Pac-Man formation, which means that their protection zone is basically like, imagine a line here, just follow my cursor, line here, and then basically a circle around this entire area. Not a real thing. They don't do that. So my question, if somebody can answer it for me, that'd be fantastic. Why was there no one on that roof? I don't understand. Like that building is pretty close. Anybody with a decent shot, a decent enough rifle, if you've ever shot a gun, right? If you're decent enough, you could make that shot very easily. Fortunately enough, Trump turned his head at the perfect moment, and the bullet ended up going through the top of his ear. Unfortunately, one of those bullets did hit the firefighter who was in attendance at the event. But yeah, like I said, more and more information. This one was kind of funny. So at first, I'm not even going to, you know what? Screw it. Let's play it. There's a video here of Joe Biden, who didn't even want to say it was an assassination attempt. He was literally asked.
So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to him tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have
Joe.
the facts. So
He said, do you think it was an assassination attempt? So it's like, you could fairly answer and just be like, I do believe it was. I think it most likely was, since a bullet actually hit him. Like, I don't think they were aiming for anybody specific in the crowd. It just unfortunately ended up hitting somebody in the crowd. But it's like, dude, you could just say it. Just freaking say it. But, these guys like to lie and create narratives all the freaking time. But yeah, then the following day, he releases a statement, dangerous times ahead. So this one was kind of crazy too, because Elon Musk tweeted this out. Dangerous times ahead. 2 people, separate occasions, have already tried to kill me in the past 8 months. They were arrested with guns about 20 minutes drive from the Tesla headquarters in Texas. And the crazy part too is that this is not even the first time that somebody was going to attempt an assassination on Trump. Apparently there was another event that somebody showed up, and I believe he, stole a firearm or something from a police officer, and then was going to try something, but he was, taken down essentially. We have videos of what appears to be Secret Service backing up, retreating, and backing down, sort of thing. I don't even really know.
A little bit old, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something,
It's just also weird.
Take a look at what happened.
There's the first rounds.
And that's
so why did he I don't know. I got no answer for this, but this is where we are at now. These videos. This is crazy. This is the left.
If you can hear us, if you are with us, please, John Wilkes Booth, if you're listening, please.
Let me get this.
Deranged.
Let me get this straight, dumbass! You have a fully reloaded shotgun, but you chose to use a 1-bullet.
We're not even sending our best to fucking assassinate. Cause what the hell was that? Lee Harvey Oswald would never, bitch. John Wilkes Booth would never.
Today was like this close to being the best day ever.
Also, the person that at Trump
These people are deranged.
Rally was
They're messed
exercising
up.
that right that all those Republicans were fighting for. So, can you really blame him?
What?
John Wilkes Booth.
Okay.
If you can.
This is crazy, and this is ongoing. This is happening even here in Canada. There's been a lot of apparently there was several professors that actually wrote online that they wish the guy had gotten his shot. They wish Donald Trump was dead. That's fucking crazy. Like, that is crazy. No matter what side you're on, you never ever talk like that. Like, these people, I don't know. They're just, they got problems. They're fucking deranged. There's nothing else to really even say about them. But they also, the media, in typical fashion, of course, tries to write something different. I think this is like right after it first happened. Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Yeah, I don't know. This is what was actually written about the fallen firefighter whose life was taken by the shooter. I'll read it out because I feel like it should be read. Yesterday, time stopped, and when it started again, my family and I started living a real life nightmare. What was supposed to be an exciting day that we had all looked forward to, especially my dad, turned into the most traumatizing experiences someone could imagine. I know the media will cover this event, and I'm going to try my best to stay away from looking at everything, especially because I've already seen and lived through it in real time. But I want everybody to know what the media will not cover and will not say about him. He was the best dad a girl could ever ask for. My sister and I never needed for anything. Did I read that right? You call, he would answer, and he would do whatever it is needed. And he didn't know how he would figure out how. He could talk and make friends with anyone, which he was doing all day yesterday, and loved every minute of it. He was a man of God, loved Jesus fiercely, and also looked after our church and our members as family. The media will not tell you that he died a real-life superhero. They're not going to tell you how quickly he threw my mom and I to the ground. They are not going to tell you that he shielded my body from the bullet that came at us. He loved his family. He truly loved us enough to take a real bullet for us, and I want nothing more than to cry on him and tell him thank you. I want nothing more than to wake up and for this not to be reality for me and my family. We lost a selfless, loving husband, father, brother, and yeah, uncle, son, and friend. Apparently there's more. I Didn't realize that. And I will never stop thinking about him and mourning over him until the day that I die too. July 13th will forever be a day that changed my life. I will never be the same person I was less than 24 hours ago. There are a lot of children out there that say their dad is their hero, but my dad really is mine. I don't think I would be here today without him. Dad, I love you so much, and there aren't enough words to express how deep that love goes. I know you'll give heaven some hell. I know that God is proud of the man that came to his gates yesterday. And there's a photo of him, pictures of him with the kids. That's sad, man. That's crazy. Just, I can't imagine going to a political event and them doing something like this. Like, we still don't know who did it, right? We don't know why they did it. There doesn't appear to be any manifesto. There doesn't appear to be anything on social media. It's kind of like mixed information. So nobody can really say what it was. And maybe we might not hear anything after this. Everybody might just kind of forget. I'm sure that family, that woman who lost her father, will never forget. And we'll probably always have a ton of questions, right? But let's be real here. As far as I know, when the shooter who went into the school in Tennessee went in there, apparently wrote a manifesto, the public never saw the manifesto. Why? We don't know, right? And it seems to be that maybe the left defending themselves or defending that specific person didn't want that information to leak. Are we going to see the same situation here? Now, I can't say whether this person was a Democrat, was not a Democrat. To my understanding, the family was considered a bunch of Democrats, and he was a registered Republican. Now, I had to remind a bunch of people that in the United States, depending on which state you are in, you can change your affiliated party that you are registered with in order to vote in certain elections or in the upcoming election. In this case, this example that I'm giving would have most likely been the primary election. And what was happening, and they admitted this, is that a lot of Democrats, before the primaries were happening for the Republican Party, were switching their designation at the last minute. In Pennsylvania's case, if you actually go on the registered voter website, you can actively change your affiliated party, your voter registration online. And as long as it's more than 15 days prior to an election, you can do this and it will be essentially effective. So in this case, a Democrat can very easily switch their affiliated party to the Republican Party in order to vote for another person against Donald Trump. Now, we know a lot of people did this. They tried to vote for Nikki Haley to win against Donald Trump for one reason or another, because, never Trumpers, Trump derangement syndrome, people will just forever and always hate him. That's just a fact. So I'm not saying this is what happened, but I am definitely saying this is plausible. I have seen other things that have suggested that the shooter had Trump signs on his lawn, etc., etc., etc. But there's another really interesting video. Now, this one's kind of long, but I think it's important, so we're going to kind of go through it because I need to see this again too. This kind of corroborates what we saw with the other gentleman with the Limp Bizkit hair. I don't know his name, otherwise I would use his name, but cool hair. So Limp Bizkit hair. But yeah, it corroborates because it seemed like the reaction time of law enforcement was very, very long, so to say. They knew something was going on, and it's just like no one reacted. So let's play this video again.
If he was doing his job, I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be in some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean.
Yeah, full screen this.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
So a bunch of people are clearly pointing. If you look on the left side of the screen, at some point you can actually see the shooter moving. You can see him crawling.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get us.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before.
I don't know why it's buffering. It's kind of annoying, but
because we have millions and millions
there he is.
of people.
You can see him clearly moving.
Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers.
Hang on, let me pause this for a second. let it buffer for a second. But yeah, you can clearly hear people are going, he's on the roof. He's on the roof. So it's not like they didn't know somebody was on the roof. Clearly you had a bunch of people yelling out that there's a guy on the roof. And it doesn't make any sense because it's like, I understand if you can't get to a vantage point, like on the other side, but clearly from where these people were standing, they could have identified the fact that this man was a threat. They seemed to have enough time to maybe even communicate with other guys who would have potentially seen him. And it is possible maybe from the vantage point of the other snipers, maybe they couldn't see him kind of over the ridge of the, you know, the A-frame part of the building. And maybe they just couldn't see him. But clearly you could see him from here. So why did it take this long? I don't understand.
It's much tougher than if it happened.
Nah, it's still doing the same thing. Sorry, guys.
In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring. I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow.
So this is the moment
right?
where...
So that's when I left office. That was the lowest
he's reading
point,
a chart.
and that comes right from the government services. Comes right out of
Oh my
Border
God, the
Patrol.
fact that it's pausing
Take a
right
look
now
at
is
that.
driving me
So
crazy.
that arrow is the lowest
I don't know why it's doing that.
amount
But...
of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old. And if you want to really see something.
So clearly there's a bunch of movement going on around there on the left-hand side of the screen. There you go. Then that's when it happened. Secret Service jumps on him. There's a return fire, obviously. I think that was the shot that took him out. Yeah, so I think the other guy was right. He said there was about 5 shots.
News coming in, shots fired. Seems to be shots fired at the Trump rally.
And on the right-hand side, viewer discretion is advised, but that is where the gentleman who was the firefighter in that top corner there got shot. Chaos. But yeah, that's just to put it all, you know, into context for you. That is how long everything that kind of took place happened over time. Like the amount of time that it took for the law enforcement to actually react. So it does sound like, now that I watch this video again, it does sound like there was probably about 5 shots taken. One of them killing the gentleman who was the firefighter. And I do believe a few other people were injured. I don't know what happened to them. I haven't heard anything since, so hopefully they're okay. But yeah, and then there was obviously the one single shot from the sniper. Now, also what I'm hearing too is kind of odd how it sounds like he had his sight, his scope from his rifle. This is the law enforcement guy who took the shooter out. He had his shot on this gentleman, and not so much a gentleman, but this man, and he took his eye off the scope, I guess, to confirm, and then put his eye back on the scope, and then I guess took the shot. I don't know if that's accurate or correct, but this is just the things that we are hearing. But it gets crazier, and it's getting crazy even here in Canada. A lot of Canadians don't want to admit it, but things are boiling. Now we have politicians even here talking about upping security because things are reaching that boiling point of no return, which in my opinion, a lot of the aggravation, not just from the left, but mostly from the left. Let's remember what happened in 2020. If we rewind, the ones who were typically the most violent were always people on the left. You had, Antifa during the BLM riots after George Floyd had passed. There were members of Antifa and other people who were just looking for trouble going around and essentially burning cities to the ground. And to this day, I've spoken to a lot of people who even use, I remember recently I stayed at this Airbnb. I believe it was in Tennessee. It was on the like an hour away from Knoxville, in the middle of nowhere. There's barely any cell phone reception. They had this beautiful property. They had this great cottage that I was staying at, and I was having a conversation with them. Told them that I was Canadian and traveling through the United States, et cetera, et cetera. And they told me that they had just moved there about a year and a half before from Seattle, Washington. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And they're like, yeah, we had to get the hell out of there. It was bad. They were explaining to me like that they were literally afraid for their own lives because it was so often and common for Antifa to be kind of controlling areas. The politicians and law enforcement were not doing anything to help them. They're going around destroying property. I believe in those riots, approximately 36 people died. So that's what happened. We do know that obviously there was another riot on January 6th, but that one's kind of, there's a lot of things about January 6th that there's a lot of people who obviously fucked up. That's a given. Was it incited by Donald Trump? No, because I was watching that rally that day when he was making his speech, and he told people specifically to march peacefully to the Capitol and make their voices heard. That's more or less what he said. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. And if you don't believe me, look up the transcript, look up the video from that day. That's exactly what was said. I don't believe that that's an incitement of violence. Protest is our right here in Canada as well. I mean, we had the Freedom Convoy, and we all know how that ended up because the government shut that down by force. People did get hurt on that day as well. So, I mean, people do stupid things, right? But I don't know, just over time, in the past few years, I've just seen things boiling and boiling and boiling up, and now we're kind of here. My point is that maybe if you stop convincing everybody that Donald Trump is the Nazi that he's not, I think that's been proven by the fact that, he was in office. He held highest power in the White House as the president of the United States for 4 years. And in no way, shape, or form was he a fascist, right? Everything was done constitutionally. That's what you're supposed to do as a president. Now, can the same be said for Joe Biden? I don't know. I don't even want to get into that right now because we could probably go on for hours. But here in Canada, things are a lot of things have been trickling from the United States as well. And I get it. I totally understand it because the United States of America is definitely the highest beacon of freedom in the entire world. It is the greatest country to be able to live in. I don't live there right now, but one day in the near future, it might be possible if I'm able to move there. But as a Canadian, that's just kind of the way I see it. We don't have the same constitutional freedoms here in Canada that Americans do in the United States, is what it is, I suppose. And I will argue and fight for those constitutional freedoms that we have and that I think should be absolute, and the more freedoms that I think we should have. But anyways, my point is a lot of politics right now have been trickling down from the United States of America on both sides, left and right. And there's an ongoing battle right now. If you're on Twitter, if you're following the political hemisphere on Twitter or X these days, you'll see exactly what it is that I'm talking about. And here's one example. So basically, Pierre Poilievre, so if you're not familiar with who he is the opposition party here in Canada. So we have Justin Trudeau, who is the leader of the Liberal Party, current Prime Minister of Canada. Pierre Poilievre is the leader of the opposition party, aka the Conservative Party of Canada. So he wrote, "I condemn in the strongest of terms the attempted murder of former President Trump today. I am relieved he is safe. My prayers are with other innocent people harmed or killed by this heinous act. I am also happy that the suspect shooter is dead. Democracy must prevail." Now, a lot of people are hell-bent on absolutely destroying Pierre Poilievre for basically anything he says, and that could even be one small word. In this case, it was because he said he was happy, right? Glad. Same thing, which I don't think he meant like, oh, he was giddy with joy. I don't think that's what he meant. Maybe he could have probably chosen better words. But I think what Pierre Poilievre, and this is just my understanding of the English language, is the fact that he was satisfied that of the fact that nobody else was harmed after the other people who had been harmed. So I'm just imagining, had they tried to capture this guy, this is probably how things would have gone in Canada had an event like this occurred. There would have been a man on a roof trying to shoot Justin Trudeau. God forbid. Don't want that to happen. I don't like him, but I don't want that to happen. I don't think he should be in power, but I don't think anybody needs to shoot him. I think we should use the power of democracy in order to replace him as the people see fit. However, had this had happened in Canada, the way I see it kind of playing out is that this whole scenario kind of happens, but no one snipes him because the Canadian people are like, no, we have to have justice and we want to arrest him alive. Well, if you're not too familiar with the way a semi-automatic rifle works, in Canada, certain semi-automatic rifles can have 10 rounds in one magazine, plus one in the chamber. So that means you can kill up to 11 people, or at least shoot up to 11 people with certain rifles. Which means that after those initial 5 shots, because you're telling them that they should have taken him alive, so they should have just let him keep shooting and kill more people? Is that really what you guys want? Because that's what Bridget here is asking for. The man who so desperately wants to become the next Prime Minister of Canada rejoices over the death of a human being. This is not the type of leader Canada needs. Now, like I said, I don't think that that's exactly what Pierre was saying. I don't think he was jumping up and down saying, oh, yay, we got him. I'm so happy. No, I don't think that's what happened. I think it was like a holy shit moment after hearing about it, seeing it all happening on TV, and then thank God they got him, right? Because it could have been even worse, right? It was bad. There was a fatality. A man lost his life. A hero, right? A father, a firefighter, lost his life. And these people are so concerned about what Pierre Poilievre is saying. One word, right? Just one word, because he used the word happy. Right? It's so fucking weird. It's so weird. But yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. So that's there was one who blocked me. I don't even know where it is, but we'll see if we can find it later. This was another thing. This is how crazy things are. So Jack Black, actor, comedian, etc., etc., also lead singer of the Tenacious D. I've always really liked Jack Black. I always thought he was quite funny in his own weird, kind of quirky way. He was good in certain movies. I loved The School of Rock. That was like, when I was younger, that was one of my favorite movies to watch. But recently he was like, talking about how he's pro-Biden, telling people to vote Biden, which is fine. I don't think he's really explaining why that is, and I think a lot of lefties do that quite often. They never really explain why, like what kind of policies should you vote for, why, like what policy is Biden bringing forward, what has he done that's been so good, and another reason why you should vote for him. Again, like, explain your reasoning. Don't just say it, but explain it, right? When it comes to Donald Trump, I would pick him simply because of his foreign policies, no new wars, fiscal responsibility policies, and that's kind of the same boat here in Canada with the Conservatives. Poilievre is just more pro-Canada, whereas the other parties are significantly less pro-Canada. I won't really say they're anti-Canada, but they're not really pro-Canada. That's just my opinion, and that's one reasoning. I'm giving you a reasoning, right? If you don't like it, that's on you. But anyway, so back to what we're saying. Jack Black performing last night in Australia, and I love my Australian people. I love you guys so much. You guys are like some of the coolest people in the fucking world. But what happened at this concert is so messed up. So, like I was saying, Jack Black, leader of Tenacious D, his bandmate, I guess, if you will, named Kyle Glass. So it was his birthday. Here's just watch the video for a second. I'll explain further just for context purposes, just so nobody misses anything.
Don't miss Trump next time.
And they laugh. Yeah, you can hear one person in the crowd going, whoa, like maybe too soon? Maybe too soon, right? I mean, it just happened. There was a fatality. It seems like people, they just disregard it because, I mean, the dude was a Republican. Why care that he died? That's basically the sentiment they're giving me here. They're telling thousands of people in a stadium. That's the sentiment, right? So it's like, the fact that people in the crowd laughed is disgusting. Second of all, it is in a way, incitement of violence, basically saying like, go and do it again, just don't miss the second time, because it's obvious, and we know this for a fact, that a lot of lefties, a lot of liberals, or just general people who hate Trump because Trump derangement syndrome, want to see him dead. They would have loved to see that bullet hit him in the skull on Saturday and completely take him out. We know that. And this video in particular is proof of it. Now, for context purposes, I want to tell you that it was not Jack Black who specifically said it, but his bandmate, Kyle Glass. Yeah, kind of a might put you in a bit of a messy situation. Now, I don't think obviously anybody should be arrested for saying, I don't know. That's a tricky one because incitement of violence technically could be criminal activity. I'm very, very pro, First Amendment, free speech. But shit like this, you're kind of pushing it, especially when you have a large following and you're literally almost inadvertently telling somebody to go and grab a gun and try it again. Just make sure you don't miss next time. That's the way I'm seeing it. It's we've gotten to a really weird place in history. There was just tons of people all day I'm seeing this. That's why I bookmarked them. Happy he's dead. This is the same tweet from Pierre Polyev. Happy he's dead? Seriously? What's wrong with this guy? Not much. I think, like I said, I think choice of words maybe weren't perfect. But like, yeah, I think people are content with the fact that the shooter was taken out and was unable to take out more people. Like I said, it could have been even worse, right? Yeah, there's another video there. This was actually a really good point. This is something from Luke Rakowski, who I follow pretty often. He wrote an entire thread on this, but he said the Trump shooter was spotted on the roof by law enforcement nearly 30 minutes before the shooting. And this was from WXI TV, I believe. So he asked a lot of questions. Like he wrote an entire thread. Let me see if I can bring up the whole thing. So Luke wrote, the shooter at Trump's rally was spotted acting suspiciously near the event. Authorities announced over radio to keep an eye on him, and this info was passed to Secret Service, CNN. The shooter made it on the roof with a full rifle kit as two witnesses saw him and say they were telling authorities and screaming about him for an estimated 3 to 4 minutes. That is from the BBC. A standard sniper spotter team tasked with covering such a critical direction waits an estimated 42 seconds after looking directly at the shooter, allowing him to take 5 shots at Trump. Video from the event. The Secret Service decides it's okay to keep Trump on stage for an extended period of time where he's able to face and actually address the crowd with an active shooter. Number 5, the Secret Service didn't think of securing the high point and advantage area over the event. Remember, Pac-Man. Then there's a couple more. Number 6, police officers located gunman on the roof and retreated, running away from him right before he opened fire on Trump, which is kind of strange. Rooftop from a gunman shot at Trump was flagged as a security risk before the rally, NBC. Trump shooter's rooftop building was staging area for local police tactical team doing overwatch of crowd. And then number 9 was the first one. Somebody said, stop shilling for Trump and Eli. Luke wrote, the fuck? What? I mean, if it's the truth, I think Luke is going to at least try and talk about it, right? But yeah, dude, like this This whole situation is nuts right from the very beginning. It's just kind of crazy, like how something like this could happen, and it could happen anywhere. It could even happen here nowadays. So, like, who knows? I'm looking for my replies on Twitter because there was a really funny one. Well, not so funny, but kind of funny. Just kind of what happened. Oh, here it is. So I like showing you guys these because I'm gonna just look at this for a second. So we have Arnie Archibald, whatever. Are we living in the real world right now? This person is running to be the leader of Canada and says he is happy that the suspected shooter is dead. What the blah 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 and is wrong with you, Polyev, who says this whacked out shit? God help us all. I responded by saying, content with the inability to kill more people in the crowd sounds acceptable. I don't think I said anything wrong. But let's just check out Arnie's profile. Oh, wait a second. I can't because I'm blocked. This happens more often than not. In my opinion, I don't think I said anything wrong. In your opinion, did I say anything wrong to this person to like morally offend them or something? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's kind of like these people are obviously living in an echo chamber. They only want to listen to their leaders, the other sheep, and to the sound of their own voice, kind of, saying the same thing over and over and over again, right? Without actually critically thinking and questioning and kind of going through everything that's happening, especially in the moment we are in right now. So, yeah, it's getting kind of out of control. What I think, maybe I should just add it. And maybe I'll put it right here. I think that would be kind of funny. If I could get like maybe like a whiteboard or a chalkboard or something, I'm going to put up a board kind of marking. I'll keep replying just because it's fun sometimes on Twitter and X. I mean, really, I'm just trying to create a debate or conversation online. By saying that statement, that's literally all I was saying. I didn't say, fuck you, you're an idiot. No, I just stated why I thought Pierre Polyev said what he said and how he said it, because I'm kind of in agreement. I'm not happy. No one's jumping up and down that anyone is dead. But the contentment of knowing that the shooter has been taken out and can no longer take out any more people after the first 5 shots were taken. But what I think is I'm going to put a whiteboard and it's going to be blocked by libs, and just start counting how many times I can get blocked by people. I mean, last week was Dean Blundell, who used to be a relatively popular radio show host. I don't even really know, but he's become a very political pundit-y type of person who's kind of living in his own echo chamber. He's kind of snarky and rude, doesn't really add much intellectually to the conversation because he's not really interested in listening to either side of the story. It's just one side versus the other. And doesn't really provide any, argument as to why he decides to agree with the things that he agrees with. I try to tell you that. I could be wrong, and I will say when I am wrong, and that is what it is. But yeah, I think that's it for now. I know there's still a lot that's kind of breaking on this story. There's a long way to go up until the next US election. There's a very long way up until the next Canadian election, and I have a feeling it's going to get fiery. It's going to get very, very fiery on both sides of the border. I'm hoping nothing like this. No more violence, please. Nobody wants it. It's not necessary. Let your vote do the work. Let your voice do the work for you. Do God's work. And we don't need bullets. We don't need violence. No rioting. Nothing like that. Let's be humans, adults. Think about the things that it is that we're doing. Hopefully that covers everything to this point so far. You guys let me know what you think about the situation. It is crazy. Do you think it was an inside job? Is that a real possibility? I don't 100% know. I think it's plausible, but it's kind of I'm indecisive. I can't come to that conclusion. Maybe we'll know. Maybe we'll never know. All right. But yeah, that's it for me from now. My name is Angelo. Thanks again for watching the Brave Podcast. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're going to probably be doing more of these. I'm going to be heading out on the road soon, but what I'll try and do is I'll actually try and film stuff outside of the studio when I am on the road. It's just so much easier to do it here because everything's kind of like set up. But yeah, we got like tons of new guests coming on very soon as well. So that'll be a lot of fun. But till then, I will see you later on. Thanks. Bye-bye.